attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now, I felt like taking a break from Reality Bender for a minute. And before I forget, my phone is currently charging, and, well, this might be the last video I post for a minute. I'm going to post this, then try to let my phone charge for a while. Now, let us begin. Whenever we last left off, Midoriya, he was at an orphanage, and he knows how the world works. He is very smart for a child, and a woman was looking for someone to train. In fact, Midoriya is going to be one of the next generation of assassins. And, well, the woman who picked up Midoriya, she saw his rage and his anger. And him being quirkless means that no one would want him. No one would take him. So, she saw herself in this boy, and she took him. The people at the orphanage were thankful. That quirkless child leaving means that they won't have to waste any more money on him. Without a quirk, he is useless in their eyes. Now, with that being said, Midoriya is going back to the Continental in Japan. This is one of many locations all over the world. In fact, there's almost one in every city. A place for assassins to gear up and rest. Now, Midoriya does head there with this woman, and, well, he is surprised whenever he gets out of her car and sees a ginormous motel, somewhat in awe, and asking the woman, which I believe I can call Miss Carter, if this is where she lives. And she simply just tells him no. She does not live here. In fact, she stays here. For right now, Midoriya is going to be staying here too. And whenever they do leave, she's taking him with her. In fact, how would you like to know about my line of work? You don't really seem to like people very much. And you are a very smart child. Now, as her and Midoriya do walk inside, some people do see her, and they try and avoid her eyes. They know that if they look at her the wrong way, well, it could be bad. She could simply kill them without hesitation. In fact, whereas other assassins have quirks and are revered for their deadliness and prowess using quirks, she is one of a kind. In fact, they even gave her a nickname. People don't like to speak it though, since it can send shivers down even most of the biggest and toughest men who have heard about her. Some of the stories. Now, Miss Carter does take Midoriya back up to the hotel room, and she does get him some things. She simply asks Midoriya if, well, he does have an extra change of clothes in the bag he has. Midoriya saying yes. And he does take a shower and get some actual food. Midoriya basically gorging on anything she really gives him. Midoriya, he got something simple. Let's say, well, this is a giant hotel. I can't say something like, oh, she gave him a steak, she gave him like some fancy bullshit that probably cost $200. Let's say she simply just asked if they can get the boy some chicken nuggets or something. And whenever they brought out this plate and took it up to the motel room, Midoriya literally ate all of it. And he looked a lot hungry. A lot hungrier. Herself just asking the boy if he is alright. And Midoriya simply stating that that is the most he has ever eaten. And, well, his belly actually does feel a bit full. And she begins to talk with Midoriya. And personally interview him. If this boy is going to be her pupil, then she does want to know a bit more about him. His mother abandoned him, and he did have to be on the streets for a while. Many people did give him money, but he also did try and steal. He did try to take. Many people didn't think much of it. Midoriya once had to walk into a place, and whenever he did try and, well, take an entire carton of candy bars or anything he could really get his hands on, a man actually stopped him and kicked Midoriya out of the door. But Midoriya was able to hide one of these candy bars in his pants. The man, he got most of it back, but Midoriya was able to at least get away with something. He was smart, and he was actually somewhat planning ahead. He knew he would be caught. And he knows how the world works. The boy is vastly intelligent. So he just explained to Midoriya the line of work that she does to be able to be in this place, as she simply just reaches into her jacket and pulls out a golden coin, saying that their line of work is quite simply very, very bad. And it's somewhat bloody. But it's something that only we can do. We have been trained. We've been taught. And her just going in a state that they have the only abilities they know. And the reason why they do their job is because no one else will. The job, quite simply, young man, is going to be very, very simple. Now, do you know something called death? Yeah, isn't that when someone dies? Very good. Now, I guess you could call me a death dealer, or a murderer. I kill very bad people. People bad enough that someone puts a hit on their head. Money. And if I do take on the job, I get paid for putting a bullet in them. Midoriya is sitting there in his chair, shocked, hearing this. The woman going on to tell Midoriya that she does this and she is quirkless. The reason why she is doing it is quite simple. She was something like Midoriya. However, she was in America when it happened. Instead of simply being left at a mall or something like that, she was thrown out of a moving car onto the side of a road. And she had to walk. She walked all the way from a small town to a very big city. People saw her. They didn't care. And, well, she lived on the streets for quite a long time. However, whenever she was younger, she began to steal. She learned how to be good with her hands. Before she suddenly does pull out a blade, and began to toss it around her fingers. Move it. The weight, it's quite even. Herself is holding it on its side, and telling Midoriya that this is a very fine knife. In fact, she used it. And she's had it for quite a long time. She doesn't know where it came from. She found it one day on the ground. She doesn't know if a mugger simply just dropped it when he was running from heroes or police, but she got it from them. She's very glad she did. She robbed someone whenever she was 8 years old, and instead of simply just beating her down or, well, hitting her, instead they laughed at her, and they thought that she was joking. And she met her mentor. And well, she was put into this line of business. So, I will ask you, young man, as she simply just spins the blade around and stabs it into the table, and simply tosses a coin onto the table, sliding it to Midoriya. Him slowly picking it up, as she asks Midoriya if he would like to join this line of work, channel the rage that she sees in him, and become a death dealer. Midoriya, unsure of what to say. Before, he simply thinks. She was just like him, and he sees how successful she is. What happens if he says no? Does he even really have a choice? Midoriya just stating yes. He wants to learn. And she does actually smile a little bit. And she tells Midoriya that tomorrow morning they're going to begin training. She will take him to a very special place, and she will leave him there for a little bit of time. The training is going to be very simple. You are going to learn a mix of martial arts, ballet, and how to fight. And I do hope you know one thing. This is all going to be about survival. That's what the world comes down to now. It's you against everyone else. Is that what you're thinking right now, young man? Midoriya simply just saying yes. And there's that look in his eyes. That anger, that rage. Something that a child should not have. Her simply just saying that he is wrong. It's not Midoriya versus the world. People don't want to look out for you. They're just looking out for themselves. They can be vile creatures. She's seen it, and so has he. So, get a good night's rest, because training will begin tomorrow. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does go to bed. And he does wake up. And Miss Carter is waiting for him. Simply just telling the young boy that he does need to be up fast. Breakfast is already there, and hopefully he does get to it fast. They need to leave within 10 minutes. Now, Midoriya basically just jumps out of bed and begins to eat. Them leaving in roughly about 7 to 8. And Midoriya just watches. And he sees that whenever they got out of the elevator, a ton of people who were looking around and scanning the room had their eyes dart down to the floor. He took notice to that. They obviously don't like her. Either they resent her, don't want to look at her, or there's a third option in his mind. The last one that came to it. They fear her. They obviously don't want to look at her because they're scared. Is that it? Scared of a quirkless person? That being something Midoriya never thought of. In fact, well, he didn't know that was possible. He tried to stand up against Bakugo when they were younger. Or, well, last year. But even then he wasn't scared. He just laughed at him. Now, Midoriya does get into the woman's car and they leave. It is roughly 6 in the morning, and the sun is going to be rising in about 15 2:30. And they are heading to a place. Midoriya doesn't know where, but they head deep into the city, driving through it and then hopping on the highway, heading very far out. Midoriya simply just watching as by the time they get there, the sun is already at least hanging in the air. You can clearly tell that it's daylight time, but you can't see the sun because of the mountains. And there's a large forest. This being where Miss Carter suddenly just tells Midoriya that she will see him again in roughly about, well, hopefully 2 years. By then, she will have him trained and watch him. She'll come back in 2 years. Then she will oversee his training, where he is. This place will have him ready, but the trials will not be easy. Now, I do hope that you understand this, because what you're about to go through will be close to hell. As close as you can get without having a bullet fly through your head. Her suddenly just giving Midoriya a hug, and telling him that she will come back, that is a promise, before she does leave. Midoriya watching as a woman comes walking out of the woods, telling Midoriya that he must be Miss Carter's, well, candidate, and quickly telling Midoriya to come with her, as the two begin to walk through the area. And they go through a giant door, which heads down. And they walk into an underground bunker, or, well, a giant underground city. Basically, this place looks insane. It might as well be another Continental. Now, Midoriya does see older, well, kids running around. And many of them try and actually push themselves, watching as there is one climbing a giant wall. And, sadly, one of the kids fall off the wall, and they go flying down towards the ground, before simply smashing onto a mat, and at least breaking something in their back, probably a rib. As Midoriya does here, the guy hit hard. And the woman suddenly tells Midoriya to rush along now. They do have orientation. Quickly pulling Midoriya towards a door, and him walking in. And seeing quite a few other kids his age. This is basically like a boot camp. There's tons of kids to his left, tons of kids to his right, and all of them do have to pull out their pockets and give up their possessions. Whenever it gets to Midoriya, he suddenly just pulls out one thing, a golden coin. And whenever he does place it down onto the plate, the woman looks at him questioningly and asks Midoriya if that is it. Midoriya just pulling out his pockets. All the other kids had something like a picture, cards, something about their families. Midoriya just had a coin. The woman quickly surmising that Midoriya, he's quirkless. Or his quirk is not flashy. Now, the woman, she can understand this a bit better now. Of course, Miss Carter would pick a quirkless child, whereas everyone else has weird mutations, stupid things about them. Of course, one candidate would be quirkless. Her just thinking that this boy will be eaten alive. And they begin their training, trying to get the kids practice on footwork, and the way that they will have to move around, and take steps. Being fitted for shoes, and learning how to dance. Now, with that being said, a few of the kids are kinda confused on how to move. However, Midoriya, he's a bit more adept to it. simply just copying anything he's seeing. Whenever the woman does try and take a step a certain way, Midoriya tries to focus, and simply just stares at his feet as he moves. He almost does trip, but he's able to keep himself standing. And another boy, he does actually do the same thing. He almost tripped and was able to catch himself. Everyone else started laughing again. And whenever Midoriya was going to dance, this boy simply just got next to Midoriya and tripped him. Midoriya pointed at him when he was laughing. As soon as the kid trips Midoriya, he falls and smashes into the ground, hurting himself. The boy turning to point as he begins to laugh at Midoriya, who gets up and punches the boy as hard as he could in the face. And as soon as the boy does get knocked onto the ground, Midoriya just jumps on top of him and begins to beat him across the face and pummel him. The woman quickly understanding. That boy is going to be just like Miss Carter. Of course, a fiery temper. And as she actually does have to pull Midoriya off of this boy. Whenever the boy tried to get up and tried to hit Midoriya, Midoriya quickly just brought his feet up and kicked the boy in the face, breaking his nose. And the boy fell onto the ground, which Midoriya then began to start laughing at him and smirk, especially whenever the woman told Midoriya to simply just stop. Midoriya just shouting that he started it. He tried to trip him. And Midoriya being told to simply just walk away. To which he does, being taken to the bathroom and having to wash the blood off of his hands, along with apologize to the boy later. When it is found that Midoriya broke his nose, they already knew that he was going to be good. They knew that the boy was already going to be somewhere. The boy was already going to go somewhere. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.